Welcome to week 3 of high school football action. I'm Cierra Clark alongside Nate Olson from Scorebook Live. We're going to break down this Friday's games. Lots of fun, exciting games. We're going to start over with Parkview taking on North Little Rock. It's been a rough start for the Charging Wildcats, so how do you think they'll do against Parkview?
Yeah, it's kind of a tale of two teams here. Parkview does have a loss, but it's to Bryant, and they played them 20-10. And North Little Rock is kind of, different people have asked me, they started off 0-2 and not playing very well at all, and that is not something that we expected from Randy Sandiford's club. And you go into the offseason, you have certain expectations for teams and things that you think they're going to do and where they're going to line up, and based on what they have done, 5 years in the state championship game, then a semifinal appearance, they played Bryant tough. They just have not lived up to what we thought, and that doesn't mean that you hit the panic button and that they're not going to, because there's plenty of season left, but they certainly have some work to do to get to the point. I mean, their offense has really struggled, and Parkview has got a lot of young players, but they're very good, and they show that with Bryant holding them to 20 points. I don't think Bryant scored until the second quarter, so they're going to run into another team tomorrow night that is very, very good. And they're going to have to figure out with Malachi Gover and company, the quarterback, and he's a senior, him and Torrance Moore, the running back, are going to have to figure things out to get some points on the board. That has been the real problem over the last couple weeks to start the season, in Fayetteville, and they haven't been able to, and Catholic, haven't been able to generate points. So you've got to do that. Parkview's point of view, they're probably a little agitated that they didn't beat Bryant, and that's kind of an interesting attitude to have, because nobody's beaten them in 44 games or something like that. But I think they felt like they could have won that game. So they're going into this one thinking we've got a chance to beat a 7A Central team, a team that has been very good. And that would be a feather in their cap to be 2-1 after playing Harbor, Bryant, and North Little Rock.
All right, and then we mentioned Catholic a little earlier,
yeah.
And they've been kind of a surprise.
Yes.
They're 2-0 this year. They'll be taking on Benton. Tell us about that matchup.
I think probably if you did 3 or 4 surprise teams, they're at the top. And Coach Fogelman told us in the offseason when we were previewing his team that he thought defensively they were going to be very good. They moved some people around, moved some people on different sides of the ball, and they have been very, very solid. They beat North Little Rock and held them to 6 points, and started kind of the beginning of their woes, and then played at Greene County Tech, which is not a great team, but went on the road and beat them pretty handily. Now this is a huge challenge for them. This is kind of, when you look at teams and you're trying to determine, are they for real or not? A lot of credit to them so far, but if they're a conference contending team, if they're a deep state term or championship type run team, playoff team, this is the kind of game that is the measuring stick, because Benton has been there several times. Last year, they got upset in the quarterfinals, but Brad Harris does a tremendous job. They're very talented, good run-oriented team. So it's going to offer Catholic a super challenge defensively. With Benton, they pulled out a really crazy game against Sylvan Hills, where they only ran 33 offensive plays, but they scored on a scoop and score. They scored on a gadget play right before the half on a split-end pass. And Braylon Russell has been really good. I mean, he had to sit out a lot of the summer, or a lot of the summer camp, fall camp rather. And then he came back in the Salt Bowl, didn't look as good, but you could see flashes. But then last week, really good. And so we feel good about Benton. You feel like that's a team that's going to contend for a conference title, make a run, but this is also a challenge for them because Catholic is playing well. So they're going into War Memorial Stadium, and they better be ready for a fight, because Catholic's going to be ready for them.
All right, and then we've got another conference game here. BB taking on Whitehall at Whitehall. What do you like about this one?
Well, this is another kind of 2 surprise teams. Whitehall is a good story. So we knew Ryan Mallett, he's the head coach, but not everybody knew that Jarius Wright, the receiver at Arkansas, is the offensive coordinator. That is very interesting. Quarterback and receiver run the offense, but what's even more interesting is they've only thrown the ball like 11 times.
Wow.
Yeah, they're running the ball, and Noah Smith and Jaden Smith are brothers. Noah's the quarterback. Jaden is the running back, and those guys are running this split back veer, run oriented offense. And it's probably something, I haven't talked to Ryan, but his dad was an old coach from the 70s and 80s. It's probably something that he pulled out of his dad's playbook, because it is not something that he pulled out of his own, I don't believe, because at Mountain Home, they kind of opened up. They did do some running there, but they threw some passing too. And, that was one of the things that he helped them with, was his quarterback pedigree. And talking to some people close to the program, that's the other thing that they would like to build on now, is to get Noah Smith passing the ball a little bit better, because they are getting guys open. And so if they can complete some more passes, that is going to make them very dangerous, and not a team that we expected to be in this position. If they win, tomorrow night against BB, they're in a good position in the upper echelon of that conference. And on the flip side, Keandre Barker, probably one of the better running backs you haven't heard of. He has Power 5 offers. He is the bell cow for BB, and they have a very good run-oriented offense too. So that's one of those games that could be over in 2 hours, because these teams aren't going to throw it too much. So when you are looking at teams like that and matchups like that, you look at the front seven and that offensive line. Who is going to win the battle in the trenches? Because both of those teams are going to try to impose their will on one another. Who's going to be able to do it? That'll be a fun game, and whoever wins that game is kind of a surprise team. Hey, look at us. We're in that upper part of that conference where nobody probably thought either one of those teams would be where they will be after the game Friday.
All right, and another fun one, Mills hosting Watson Chapel. Tell us about that game.
Mills is 3-0. Cortez Lee, very good coach. He's breathed some life back into that program. Last year they were really rolling, and I know that we were at the Lone Oak game, and that's when Jabray Shaw, their good running back, he had been hurt and got more hurt in that game, and that really kind of shot him in the foot the rest of the year. He is healthy. They've got a quarterback, another guy you may not have heard of. He's got a great name, Achilles Ringo. Covered his dad a long time ago at Dollarway, or it seemed like a long time ago. But he is very good. He's a junior. So they've got some weapons on offense. They're going to run the ball too, but Achilles can throw it. And, then on Watson Chapel, Coach Moody has done a good job. That team was not great. He comes down from Jacksonville, and he's breathed life into that program. Their first game, 48-0 over Texarkana. So they're trying to get their first conference win. Mills is trying to stay undefeated. We think that's going to be a good game, a good physical game with a lot of athletes, and Moody would love to get a win. This would be a nice signature win for him to go to Mills and win.
And our last game we'll be talking about is Powerhouse Harding Academy taking on Boonville. Tell us about that game.
Harding Academy, now, I wouldn't necessarily call this a surprise, but they've moved from 3A to 4A, and they haven't quite, gotten into the conference season yet, but they played Valley View and they beat them, and they're going down to Boonville, who they played 4 times recently in the playoffs and beat them each time. Boonville, a tradition-rich, run-oriented program in the River Valley, but Owen Miller is a quarterback that stepped in for Cade Smith. He's an Arkansas Razorback baseball commit. Smith decided that he wasn't going to play football his senior year. A bit of a blow for that program, but the thing about Neil Evans' team is, very resilient. There's a lot of good talent there, and maybe not quite the numbers, but some programs would panic when you're getting ready to move to 4A and you don't have a lot of kids, and now all of a sudden your star that you're counting on doesn't play. But Owen Miller is a sophomore, and I don't know if he is exactly what Cade Smith would be, but he's very good. He's put up some big numbers. They're going to try to throw the ball over the field against Boonville. Boonville's a run-oriented team, so you get them down, it's hard for them to get back. That's been kind of the story of those series. So from Boonville point of view, they're going to try to hold the ball. And I haven't done as good a job as they'd like to in those meetings, but this is a good team, or a good matchup, a 4A and 3A. And then also got to give Kyle Ferry some more attention. We did a big story on him. He's the kicker for Harding Academy going to Mississippi State. He's a real weapon. He puts almost every kickoff in the end zone, hit a 56-yard field goal 2 weeks ago. A very good, one of the better kickers I've ever covered, and the only kicker I've done a 3,000-word feature story on. So if you go to a Harding Academy game, you want to get there early and watch him warm up. He'll kick 62-yard field goals in warm-ups. He'll punt the ball in the direction of the other team and see if he can get it close to him. And he's fun to watch, and he's a good kid. So that if you are going to any of their games, it's worth getting there watching that show.
All right, sounds really exciting. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Nate. And there's lots of exciting games coming up on Friday night under the lights. So make sure to stay tuned on our channel, THV 11, for our Friday Night Blitz show. And we're going to show you a bunch of highlights with Tyler Cass and I, and you don't want to miss that.